Hey y'all, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for joining me today. I'm really excited about today's video. Today is May 11th. Yes, we have a current video. Can I get a round of applause? I mean, this is a miracle, y'all, that this video is happening so soon, and I am so excited. So a friend on YouTube here, or a subscriber, had asked me to go more in depth about my attacks, and I was like, that is a fantastic question, especially if you're new here. What in the world is going on? Who's this Theo I keep talking about? I wanted to sit down and actually give a more in-depth look as to what is going on. I wanted to kind of explain the tumor a little bit more, and a little bit about the adrenals and hormones and what in the world's going on during these attacks that I keep talking about. So my tumor is actually called a Pheochromocytoma, and I'm going to also play that because I don't trust myself to say it quite proper with my brain fog right now.
Pheochromocytoma. Pheochromocytoma. Pheochromocytoma.
Okay, and I say Pheo for short because of the brain fog, and I feel like my pronunciation of a lot of things, to me, they sound off. Sometimes it is not indeed off, it's just I am hearing myself say things incorrect, and it's actually correctly said, but I get a little bit paranoid, so I call him Theo. So, Pheochromocytoma is a rare neuroendocrine tumor that develops in or onside the adrenal glands, and they throw off hormones. Mine personally was inside my gland, but it was also intertwined with my gland. My body thought it was doing me a favor. If it was indeed a favor, well, that's questionable in my personal opinion. It decided, hey, let's attack this tumor. Okay, and then it got its gland somehow intertwined and tangled up with the tumor, and then we saw a lot of inflammation and a lot of different cells that are not in everybody's tumors. And that's for multiple reasons, one of which is because my body attacked it. At least that's what I was told. So, let's start at the beginning, the basics. This way we have kind of a better understanding of things. I wanted to first talk about adrenal glands. They are a powerful, complex, tiny organ that sits above your kidneys, and they don't get nearly as much attention as they should, people. It is the truth. They help to regulate your metabolism, your immune system. They contribute to just so much more. I mean, all of your hormones just about are pretty much in your adrenals, your brain. I mean, they do a lot. They also help with inflammation. They do weight, blood pressure. They impact more than you would think for such a small, tiny gland. It's ridiculous. Anyways, some hormones it produces include cortisol, androstenedione, and I will pop these up, DHE, which male and female hormones, epinephrine or adrenaline, and non-epinephrine or noradrenaline. So I do need to point out, I am also personally primarily adrenal insufficient. This means for some reason my body does not make enough cortisol. We don't know the reason. This could be because of an autoimmune disease, so my immune system might have attacked them. However, though, I have had a ton of infections. That could be another cause. I also have cancer, and that could be potentially, in somebody else's case, a cause. However, I've had it for too long, or a genetic reason. I do have to say I am not a medical health professional by any means, and you all should know that. I'm simply a patient sharing her experience and sharing a little bit of her own research that she's done in order to basically survive. It is a matter of survival with these rare things, you doing your own research, if I'm honest with you. And my hope is to bring awareness and light to the tumor and the disease in general, and maybe help another patient, if not to get a diagnosis of this, just for them to feel less alone. It's all worth it. I felt that talking about adrenal insufficiency kind of gives you more so a full picture as to what's going on and why these attacks can be so severe, but not only that, why they're so complicated to treat, because with adrenal insufficiency, I do not make enough cortisol. And these attacks kind of deplete your cortisol, but you can have cortisone secreting tumors. I do not know what type of hormones my tumors are secreting. There could be times where I have too much cortisol, and then other times I have too little. We're still kind of dissecting the whole thing, and that could take a while, unfortunately. Not just because of not having the correct physicians. The research is not always there. The knowledge is just not where it needs to be. And it's very tricky and difficult. This is a 1 in a million type of a tumor, legitimately. They're very rare and very rarely diagnosed. So it makes it difficult to find them. The testing is there, but it's not always up to par of where it needs to be. In addition, these tumors hide. That is the bottom line. Mine hid in my body. So, and if you want me to go more into detail about that, please leave any and all questions in the comment section. I am open to them. I welcome them, and I'm excited that somebody asked me more about my tumor. This is great, guys. So thank you so much for your comment. Okay, sorry, get off track. So let's go back to Theo. These tumors produce an excessive amount of catecholamines, which are hormones. Personally, my first tumor secreted 3 hormones. The first is adrenaline. I believe the other 2, and do not hold me to this because I'm not 100% sure, might have been epinephrine and dopamine. And now, without further ado, the whole point of this video, what do I personally experience during these Theo attacks that I keep talking about? I will be sharing my personal perspective with this all. We're not going into what everybody else experiences because I'm not in anybody else's body. It's that simple. Additionally, though, I will be leaving my good friend Miranda's information in the description box below. I encourage you, y'all, with all of my heart, please go check that out. She's just such a valuable resource in general with this disease. I legitimately do not know where I would be without Miranda. I'm not even joking. Her and a couple other people legitimately saved my life multiple times. And just the information that I've been given by them, it's just life-changing, life-saving, and I really do believe that her blog changes lives every day. So, additionally, looking at her content, I really just feel like everything I've endured and goes on in my body has like come to life in front of my eyes, and it's just the most amazing thing. So I really encourage you to check that out. I think that she's another valuable resource, and she also explains her attacks. This way you can see kind of different perspectives and see the similarities and the differences, because it's all beneficial as we all learn more about Theo. There's a real lack of education, as I was saying, in the medical field alone with Theo. So I mean, the patient education, it stinks. Additionally, like the general public, their understanding of it, yeah, don't get me started. It's hard, people. I cannot tell you the amount of people who say like I am not valid in having this disease because they don't understand it. It's all levels of insane. I know that makes no sense, but hey, the comments I've gotten, I should really do a video on those. Anyways, let me not get too off track with that one. So this is an unfiltered look, guys, at a Theo attack. I'm going to be candid. I'm going to be honest with you, as honest as I can be, and go into as much detail as possible without boring you to death. Certainly, I have noticed, and this one, I'm not positive why this one happens, but I have a low blood pressure before an attack, which is quite interesting, and I do keep pretty good notes and whatnot, which helps. Additionally, Abby does, thankfully, naturally alert to these attacks, and that's life-saving as well and life-changing, because I can be up and doing something and they can hit like that out of nowhere. You legitimately do not know what just hit you. And And obviously it gets very dangerous because my blood pressure goes that high that it is extremely dangerous for me to be standing. So Abby makes sure that I am safe, that I am sitting when I need to be, and all these little things. She is able to do that because of the smell that my body throws off. Theo has, let me tell you, a very, very specific sweat smell, at least for me. Very, very, I've never smelled anything like it. I find it absolutely repulsing and disgusting. My animals, on the other hand, are actually in love with it. I just think because they associate it with me, to be honest. I know, gross, but hey, it's the truth. So these attacks can last anywhere from a couple of minutes to up to 72 hours from the research that I have done. And then you can end an attack and then go right into another one. So it can be hard to tell, okay, is this the same attack? Is it a new one? And differentiating like tiny details like that are really hard for me, especially when you're so sick. I do experience what I call Hallmark symptoms, which show up with every single attack. I actually had my symptoms outlined for somewhere that I was trying to get in to get care. So thankfully that outline is going to help me with this video. So we're just going based off that and my memories. So my apologies, obviously, if I leave anything out. I will hopefully circle back around in a later video and add anything, although I feel this is a pretty concrete list. So we're first going to talk about my Hallmark symptoms. Those are the ones that pretty much always happen with a Theo attack for me personally. So sweating is usually one of my first symptoms. Like I said recently, the blood pressure does drop first. Sweating though always happens, super unique smell. And then my blood pressure will increase. Sometimes like the increase I see right away. Sometimes I'm like sweating, I check it, I'm not too bad, and then I check it again and it's super high. So my higher readings would be between 180 over 90 to 200 over 135. I understand those are dangerous. They're very awful numbers and bad things happen at those numbers. I am on medication. It helps some, but hey, I managed to still get a systolic bottom number reading of 135 the other day. So the medication does help, but it's not a cure, obviously. Additionally, I get tachycardia, so that means that my heart races. My higher readings with that one and during an attack would be 115 to 205 while sitting or at rest. Additionally, I always get emotional. Hands down, guys. It is very embarrassing, to be honest with you. You lose all control of there's no self-control with this, honest. And I'm not just saying that. Actually, we're learning, a friend told me recently, and this was like, whoa, the hormones bypass your logical portion of the brain and it activates a portion in the back. Don't ask me which ones, but I can get the information like if you're actually interested. But there's another campus that it'll activate, and that is just literally emotion. There's no logic at all. It is awful. You say things, you do things, I swear, that you would never think to say or do when you're not in an attack. It is quite scary. You lose all control. So I'm going to go a little bit more into that. This can be irritation. Everything is extremely irritating. Tapping is irritating. Sometimes just what people say, what they do. People are irritating in general. But this time, like when you're in an attack like this, it gets really under your skin in a new way. I can go through, thankfully, it's low scale anger. Do definitely just yell at nobody. Just yell. Just get really upset, really, really frustrated. Like I said, this is all out of character for me, and it can be frightening at times. I end up just about always in some sort of puddle of tears still. We're working through that, to kind of find hopefully a better way through the attacks besides sobbing like a baby. I have impending doom. You do feel like your life is going to end, and it's not like oh, just being overly dramatic is legitimately like a response to the hormones. The hormones make you feel like you're basically dying. And you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get stuck like this. This is like, this attack is gonna last forever. This is the way I'm gonna die. You feel like you are a burden literally to everybody. You feel like you existing is like a problem and an inconvenience to everybody around you. You feel like nobody's really there, that you're all alone. It doesn't matter who is there. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't compute, period. And you're just alone with the emotions, no matter what you do. I also get depression attacks. During this, I don't have, like I said, clinical depression. When I'm in a full-fledged attack, it depends on the attack. The emotions, there are always emotions. The type of emotions that manifest can be different. Feel 1,050% depressed, completely hopeless, and I've never felt further from God, if I'm honest with you. It is, again, the scariest thing. And when you're in these things, like, you can't do what you normally would to cope. You can't just go read your Bible. You can't just go read a book. You can't just turn on YouTube. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if that's something I can work past. I'm not really sure. I think it's just, these are the facts of Theo. And I'm usually just about always anxious. That is definitely a big one. Obviously, it's very nerve-wracking to go through all this. With your pressure that high, you feel a lot of anxiety and you feel a lot of emotion. So the anxiety is definitely normal. I personally usually do not get racing thoughts. So that's the emotional aspect of Pheo. It is this way for most people, that there is some level of high emotion. Again, these things throw off hormones. So, chest pain. There's always chest pain. The type does change for me personally. Sometimes it's sharp and stabbing. Other times it is mostly pressure. That's the one that I get the most. It can go down my arms. It can be also a jawbone pain. No, you never know if you are having a heart attack. Yes, you can have fake heart attacks. You can also have stroke, regular heart attack, cardiac event. These are all real possibilities because our pressure goes so stinking high. And then there's a Theo headache. Personally, I'd really rather just deal with a migraine. This is like a squeezing pressure type headache is, I guess, the best that I could explain it to you. Again, completely miserable. You all know I deal with a lot of pain. Theo makes pain worse. The pain goes through the roof and then some during these attacks. I cannot describe the intensity. I can be at what I think is a 10 going into it. By the time I'm coming out of it, I think I'm like at a 15, people. Like, I know that's not even on the scale, but that's how much drastically worse it gets. And man, this pain just comes on out of nowhere again. Sometimes, like, it literally is screaming, crying pain that hits like that, and I'm like, I was fine 2 seconds ago. What in the world? It is a lot of abdominal and flank pain. I also experience a lot of pain in my legs personally. The new thing is shoulder pain. I'm not really sure what's up with that. And then additionally, I will have this shooting pain that just kind of shoots throughout my body, and that one will cause me to scream. It'll cause me like to lose my balance, all the things. So some things that happen sometimes, but not every attack. I have screaming pain, as I've said it before, in the bathroom. I have reason to believe that that is all Theo. I've had bladder pain since my first Theo got very active. Now looking back, I was still though dealing with all the pain and discomfort after surgery, and it did get a little bit worse. Around February, the bladder and kidney pain is when it got really bad. My doctors took me off the alpha blocker. That was not a smart idea. But I was able to see the 2 times I had to be off of it for the PET scan, although I should not have been off of it, but that's another story. The pain, I would legitimately just scream every time I was in the bathroom, either, urinating or bowels, everything, screaming pain. On the medication, that is not a problem. Like, it's not always comfortable, my bladder, but I'm not screaming at the top of my lungs, which is nice. I do vomit sometimes. I get shaky, jerking, and the movement disorder seems to possibly be linked, apparently, with the adrenaline. Trouble breathing. Seizures, which can be absent, or I can convulse and look like I'm having a grand mal seizure now. I've noticed in almost every attack recently that I'm dealing with a lot of weakness. One day I was completely fine, basically. I was able to use the staircase with almost ease. So this is a great example. And then I start a Pheo attack, so I'm sweating, the blood pressure is elevated, I'm in the bathroom, I'm screaming in pain. Or right before the bathroom. Additionally, I do go into sensory processing overload very quick during these things, so everything just becomes more overwhelming. Thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart for watching this video. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon.